They beat Canada in the round of 16 3-0, which was really impressive. They've scored 10 goals and they are the first African side to reach a second straight World Cup quarterfinal. How do you evaluate their tournament?
It's been good. It's been good again. I think for me, it's just disappointing in the manner of which they lost. Like Troy said, you know, obviously everyone's going to say, oh, it's France, you know, they're favourites to go in there. But I just think that when you really analyse and you look at the performance, the display, it's not a great way to go out. I'm a firm believer, if you're going to go out, if you're going to face high opposition, at least show them what you could do. Make a game of it. Really be aggressive. That's just my opinion. That's my
How could they have made a game
mentality.
of it in the second half for you?
I think they could have been a bit more aggressive. I think they could have been a bit more aggressive and purposeful with their passes, get Hakimi up and just really make France uncomfortable because they've got good quality. It's not one of those ones you can say they don't have high-level, good quality players. They do, but they played within themselves. That's just the reality. They didn't give a real account of themselves against France today. So I think that's the disappointing thing. But overall, it's good. The future's good for them. They've got some good young players coming through. They've got some good young players in the like under 17s and 18s winning titles and tournaments. So it's a bright future. But I think now they probably want to take that next step again. And they can do it by being a bit more aggressive.
France is the caveat, isn't it, Grell? But do you feel like after what you've seen from them so far in this tournament, had they played one of the other teams that are still in the competition, it would have been a different story? Or do you think that this is their limit?
I thought they were lucky against the Netherlands, but that was a good game. They were evenly matched. I thought they were probably not even that great against Canada. The scoreline told a different story than what the actual game was. And then today, and I think, you know, when I think about the U.S., I think about this, and there's, you want to play well and win. But if you can't win, you still want to at least try to play well, right? And if you can't do either one of those two things, you at least want to play with no fear. And I think that at least, I don't think they were scared today of France, but they didn't put a performance that makes you say, all right, we buy into that.
They're in awe,
good.
weren't they? They're in awe of them. They're a bit like, whoa, this is France.
Do you not think that also, I think that comes from the manager. I think the manager's definitely going to be under pressure. Because
manager with the
managers
U21s were they before?
Yeah, he was.
And
but then the managers will give you the setup of what he wants you to do. And he will have to take the responsibility for that. Because he can't come out and say, oh, we tried and we played front foot football. Because everyone watching that will know you literally sat back and France literally dominated you. And you didn't make any changes until you went down to be a bit more aggressive or even to try and look like you played counter-attacking football. So he's going to have to take a lot of responsibility for that performance.
Yeah, they lost 2-0, but it was more than that. They could have lost 1-0 and we could have been like, whoa, it was close. They had chanting. But in the end, the true story was they're miles away from France.
It was like watching a prime Floyd Mayweather. Just got the head jabbed off for 12 rounds. We knew they weren't going to win. But they couldn't do anything about it. Just got the head jabbed off by an unbelievable France team. And I think for Morocco, the frustration would be, yes, we know they're going to be the part hosts, aren't they, for the next World Cup. So there's something to look forward to. I just think they've taken a little step backwards today, one of the last two games, because yes, going out and not getting to the end promised land is great, to your point, but doing it in your way, with your style, which you're trying to build towards and perfect, that's one way of going out. Going out today where no midfielders made any tackles. The defensive line was either too high or too deep. There was never really any true balance. And then going out there with no striker. I go back to this every time. If you start a game with no striker, you're saying to the opposition, you've won. You basically say, we don't think we can score, we're just going to try and stop you from scoring. And again, I know they had injuries, but you've got to go out there with at least one striker and say...
They had El Kabi. They could have started him. And you could just have him as a target man, and then you get your wingers to go and say, hold 100%. Up and bring the team up. That's all part of tactics. And Troy's right, it does set up a negative mindset when you go up like that. And I just think it's not great how they went out today, because the performance wasn't good. And like Grella said as well, when you look at the Canada game, it wasn't a great performance either. So it's two back-to-back bad performances. But overall, I think it's OK.
Well, the expectation will be really high once AFCON comes around again, because they are the controversial champions of that competition. This is the qualifiers that has got in Group A coming up, which you would think, Nige, that now the target really is on their back, considering how everything went down last time, right?
Yeah, you would say that the target's on their back, but I'm sure they're going to be confident and comfortable. And it's an opportunity for them to kind of regroup and continue to develop and plan ahead. But that should be a very easy and comfortable group for them. And again, you'd expect there'll be high expectations for Morocco to pretty much go all the way to the final again.
You agree, Grell, all the way to the final? before it even starts? You have that sort of confidence in Morocco?
No, not really. Like I said, I think there's so many talented African nations. I think there's so many good ones. And I think they take turns in depending on the player pool. Like, we didn't even see Nigeria at this World Cup, but Nigeria, if they get things right, they have talented players all over the country, so that they could be
country of the world.
Some of the best players in the world, whatever, however you want to put it. But at the end of the day, there's so many good African nations. See, Ivory Coast, Senegal, DR Congo was phenomenal.
They were incredible. They were one of the stories when they had the World Cup.
Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde will be in it.
So think about it. No one, including us on the panel, knew who Cabo Verde was.
Yeah.
Right? Aside maybe from like Nico Cantor or something, right? So nobody knew. And now we're going to just say, oh, Morocco's just going to be there in the final. I don't know.
I said there'll be expectations. So sure. Are you okay? I said they'll be expected to get to the final.
Yeah, but
they are one
you
of the
didn't
top
ask the
teams.
question. There was a follow-on question.
Right? You asked me if they're going to be for sure in the final. And my answer to being sure
I asked him
no.
if he agreed with you, and he said no.
I know.
No.
It's fine.
Unless they play in the courtroom.
I also did tell him about Cabo Verde as well, but he doesn't want to remember that.
You told me about Cabo Verde?
But half the time, I don't even know what world you're in.
I believe you might have.
No, forget it.
They were great.
Give it to Nico. It's fine.
They were great.
Hey, you saw how it was earlier. Just say you got it right. No matter what, Nigel said it first.
Don't give it that one.
Nigel said it first.
That's not true.
What about Bouaddi then? Because it feels like every World Cup we talk about, we just even talked about Kone and maybe the next potential move. Bouaddi is rumoured on, to go to a lot of big European clubs. That's because of mainly one of the most impressive performances that he's put in over the World Cup. Do you see him making a transfer?
I think he had a great start. I think the game against Brazil comes to mind where he kind of burst onto the scene. He's a young man. And what happens with young players is this is a bit of a roller coaster. They have a great start, they peak, and then they level out. So I think to his games against Brazil, to Scotland, played 90 minutes in both. And then since then, he's keep coming off around the 60-minute mark. And maybe that is a little bit of the game needed a change, or he's not really been at the level. But for 18 years of age to be playing in the World Cup and not only holding your own, having everybody saying, whoa, who's this kid? He's got a bright future. So this will be good for him as well. You need to lose and play against better opposition to go, okay, what do I need to get better? What do I need to work at? So this will be a good moment for him in his career.
Yeah, I like him. Some of us have to work on a Thursday, Poppy, right? And we've watched him play.
I don't know, we might have an Italian with us this year because Juventus and Milan are in it too.
We've had to watch him throughout the Europa League, and I've been very impressed with him. I've liked him. He's played pretty much a great body of work in the season just gone for Lille and the agent. He played against Roma as well. He's got great potential, and it always starts from the youth. We say this all the time. When you want to build a next generation of players to come through to represent a nation, you've got to start from the youth. You've got to start winning youth tournaments, and you keep that group together as much as you can, and it will filter through to the national side. But credit to the Moroccan Football Federation in how they've gone about it and how they've done it. The conversation comes about us as players, and I've spoken, obviously I've got a lot of friends who are of African descent and everything like that, and we speak all the time about what it's like when you're young going through the system, the footballing pyramid. You want to represent your nation, but back then, years ago, there's always been a stigma against African football federations because it wasn't well organised. It was dysfunctional. You talk about players going to represent their nation and flights weren't booked, hotels weren't paid for, and players having to come out of their own pocket to do it. That was why, back in the day, a lot of these players of African descent chose not to represent their ancestry nations, and they chose to represent wherever they grew up or where they were born because of...
Right.
They chose to represent France.
They chose to represent France because it was more professional, it was more organised and more done. And that's what players wanted. They wanted just to be in an organised situation, just like how it is playing for your club, how it's professionally done. They wanted the same thing at international level. So now when you look at Morocco and what they're doing and how they're doing it, it's easy now for young Moroccan players, wherever they live around the world, to be inspired by what they're seeing for these players playing for the national team now and want to play for it. Because the other thing that they have to take in consideration is, am I going to play? Do I have a real opportunity to play for this national side?
I think these numbers really reflect as well what you're saying, because for Morocco, for example, these are the amount of players and the head coach by birth country. You can see 7 are Moroccan, but the others, France in there, Spain in there, Belgium, you've got the Netherlands and, of course, Canada represented as well. It's slightly changing now, as you mentioned, but this is the majority. It's a melting pot, right, Troy? of all these different nations.
Yeah, I think so, but also they've done it really well. So they opened the training facility in 2009. They know, you probably saw on the previous graphic there, on the side you can see, four times they didn't qualify for the World Cup. So they knew, as this is going, right, 2 times, you can just put yourself in there thinking, 2002, 2006, we miss it. We need a training facility, we need to get proper. 2010, we miss out because we know it's the first iteration of it. And then 2014, 5 years later, they still can't get through. So it's like, okay, let's open it up now. Let's have a look at what we can do. So how we make it, financially viable for the younger kids to be in there and we see what they're doing with growing. But also, let's make the team good. Let's open our diaspora a little bit more. Have a look around what we can bring. So the actual first team benefits, the fans get excited about what's going on, but also this now young youth pathway is coming. So I believe they've done it the right way. I think many countries, not just African countries, many countries can look at what they're doing. Maybe even the US can look at what they're doing and say, okay, how do we have national centres that work towards making the first team great? But what will happen now over the next 2 to 3 World Cups, you will see more homegrown talent because their U17s have been winning, their U20s have been winning. So that pathway is now starting to come. The only thing I was going to ask you, Nigel, is with what happened with the way the African Cup of Nations ended and then in a legal battle, does that stain a little bit, or does that just brush to one side now and kind of carry on?
I think it does stain. I don't think that the real Moroccan friends that I know and have and the fans of the national team didn't want to win that way. And they don't take it to them to say, oh, we won it. They don't like it. They've left it. World Cup, they've moved on and they're just getting on with it. I think with Morocco as well, we talk about the nation, you've got friends, well, he's got a Moroccan bodyguard. You know, he's bodyguard, right? He's watching this, bro. He's got a Moroccan bodyguard. I've actually got Moroccan family and friends I don't have dinner with. No, it's great. I think for a nation like Morocco, because they're so spread around the world, there's always going to be that opportunity to get players from all different places, whether they're born in Holland or England or anything like that. And I think even if you look at England, you talk about all the different dual nationalities that are playing in the English national side now that they've got. But I just think for me, it's amazing what they've done in such a short space of time. And if you want to compare it, when I was younger, the big African nations people talked about was Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana. I think Nigeria is probably one of the biggest underachievers in world football. They can go around the whole world and get players of Nigerian descent from different places. But again, it's so sad that they haven't done it the way that Morocco have done. And I think for me,
because you would say at the minute they're the gold standard for leading. You have
African
to. I mean,
football. You look at how competitive they've been. You know, African Cup of Nations, semi-final of last World Cup. Yeah. Could potentially make another semi-final of this World Cup.
Host nation next World Cup.
Yeah, they're developing and heading in the right way. And there's young talent coming through as well. Some great young players coming through. So they've done everything right, how we've seen it happen before.
Yeah, like you said, they've changed the pathway, haven't they, and made it exciting.